Good morning, everybody. My name is Molly. I play the viola, and I am on a journey to becoming a better musician and happier person. So I have a big practice day planned for myself today. So I tend to write out overly ambitious schedules for myself. And the part that gets overly ambitious is how short the breaks are. The past few days, I've reached the amount of practicing I wanted to, but I finished way later in the day than I wanted to. Earlier in the semester, I was able to get all my practicing done before dinner time and then just enjoy the evening. But for example, on Monday, I didn't finish practicing until almost 10 p.m. when in my schedule I wrote, I had hoped to be done practicing by 4 p.m. Because you have things that are scheduled throughout the day you have to go to. There is a specific window of time to get things done, and if you take too long of a break, then it keeps pushing the next practice session backward, and so on. So anyway, despite this happening quite often, I keep writing these overly ambitious schedules. I have rarely ever stuck to a schedule strictly like this. I want to see once and for all if it's a realistic thing that I could do, if it even is productive and feels good to me, because I keep writing it in my planner and then not doing it. So once and for all, I'd like to see if I should stop writing this kind of schedule or if I should actually do this kind of schedule more often. So basically my goal is to play a total of 3 hours and 20 minutes over the course of 5 hours total. I'm gonna do 40-minute sessions 5 times. Between the first 2, I'll take a 10-minute break. Between the second and third, I'll take a half-hour break, and then I'm gonna have an hour for lunch and then do the 5th. And I'm really gonna try and keep those breaks at that length that I prescribed. And my reward for sticking to the schedule is going to be playing Animal Crossing when I'm done. I'm gonna see if that feels like terrible or if it feels good to get it all done and out of the way. Even though I have a lot to go, it feels good knowing that I've done 20% of all the practicing I'm going to do today. So tomorrow I'm performing the Prelude to Bach's 6th Cello Suite in studio class, which is basically a trial performance class for all of the fellow violists who I study with. But it's still a big deal. Like, I need to be prepared for it, and I am. I'm nervous about it, but I'm trying to confront my nerves head on by practicing it first out of anything today. Because normally if I was nervous about something, I would put it off until the last practicing segment, but I'm gonna do it this morning, and I'll probably feel better because of that. I just wanted to describe some of the practice techniques you'll see me applying to my Bach here. In this first clip, I'm taking away the bowings and rhythm and just playing the sequence of notes in this passage under one staccato bow. This part is really difficult for the intonation, so this method allows me to strip back all the other factors and really focus on putting my left fingers down in just the right place. It also feels pretty cool to nail passages played like this once I've repeated it enough times. once again taking another section out of context just to get the stroke and articulation that I want for these chords. Little did I know that the day after I filmed this video, my A string would snap off and I would have to change all my strings. That explains why I felt like I was fighting with my instrument a little bit in order to get these notes to ring the way I envisioned. In this clip, I'm listening to a drone in my ear to isolate the intonation in the very last line of the movement. Overall, I'm really proud of myself for finding so many ways to practice this piece the day before I perform it that aren't just running it through over and over again. Breaking it down is more time consuming, but it means I can more easily play the notes correctly and musically when it's time with less energy expended overall. Done with my 40 minutes of Bach. I think I'm gonna wanna do some more Bach later today. I planned for 20 minutes more, but I might wanna just take another 40 minutes with it and rearrange some things in my plan. But I have plenty of time to adjust because I'm on schedule, which is great. I did another guided meditation class this morning. Something I really liked that the meditation guide said was to be with your difficult tasks today rather than force your way through them. And that was something I was trying. I'm doing some finishing touches, detail work in this movement of Bach, and the intonation is really difficult. And I'm also trying to get this very specific resonant sound that is not forced, and all those things are really difficult to do. So I just took my time with it. I didn't exert all of my effort on every single note. I think sometimes when I'm practicing, the engagement of my muscles is maxed out at 100%. And in order to work on small passages and intonation, I don't need to be playing full out with my bow necessarily. So I think I did a good job conserving energy and just being with the difficult tasks and really just trying to soften into them, as the meditation guide said. Now it's time for my half-hour break. You guessed it, I'm gonna make a smoothie. This is the second movement of the Viola Concerto by Jennifer Higdon. Today I got it to about half the speed it's supposed to go in performance. I was mostly focusing on getting a clean and clear start to every note while also trying to keep in mind what my physical needs will be once I'm playing it at concert tempo. I've been struggling to strike a balance between carefully articulating each note and relaxing my muscles enough so that the strings resonate more organically. Too much of one or the other results in a lack of clarity. Something fun I've been doing lately is making little boxes, the full amount of practicing that I want to do, and then filling them in as I go. It helps me feel pretty accomplished. Just finished my fourth section, so I am 80% of the way done. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I do when I practice more versus less. Weird thing about practicing is it's not something you can check off of a to-do list. There's a big sliding scale of how much time you can spend working on any particular piece or technique. And the tough thing about it is I'm never like done practicing because there's always more to learn, more to work on, more to improve. And technically, although it's not typically a good idea, I could always practice an extra 2 or 3 hours. Like I could always do more than what I plan to do. So I have all this repertoire that I have to be working on for various different things. I'm in 2 chamber groups. I'm also working on learning a new concerto. I'm also working on relearning a cello suite. Pretty soon I'll be in orchestra as well, and I'm working on an orchestral excerpt right now. So I don't practice everything every day because that would either be way too much playing or not enough focused time on each piece. My lessons are all a week apart, so I kind of plan, okay, what am I gonna play in my next lesson and work on that music specifically the next 7 days. So when I play more, I am able to work in greater detail on the pieces I'm working on, and or I am able to work on more pieces at a time. So on a day when I practice less time, I'm not touching all of my repertoire and I'm practicing in a more big picture way. Another thing I try to do is connect all of the different pieces I have to practice with some overarching technique or expressive goal. So right now, I'm really trying to work on clear articulation and maximizing the resonance I get out of my instrument. And what that looks like is very different in Bach versus the Jennifer Higdon concerto I'm learning or in the Debussy trio. So I'm experimenting with different right hand techniques in my warm-up and then in my practice of each one. That's kind of what I'm always listening for. A weakness that I've been trying to overcome is just not to have extra sound, not to hit other strings, not to have any scratches, that kind of thing. That main goal connects all the little goals I have with each different piece. I am just about at the end of my lunch break. Those shorter breaks earlier this morning, I took a few extra minutes during each one than I had planned out for, but I was more or less like on a roll. But man, taking an hour off and eating lunch and like being on my phone and catching up on YouTube videos and stuff, I feel like to rev my engine back up all the way again, but it's only for 40 minutes. I'm almost there. So here goes. I didn't film any of it because I was very focused, but I did my last 40 minutes and I have completed my 3 hours and 20 minutes of practice for the day. So on paper, I wrote it out to take 5 hours from start to finish, including the breaks. And it took 6 hours. I don't know, I just added 3 to 10 minutes here and there and it turned into a full extra hour, but that is okay. So here are my thoughts after doing this. The major pro to this method is the efficiency factor. 2 days ago, I practiced 3 hours and I think it took me from 9 a.m. until 10 something p.m. With, of course, a bunch of things in between to accomplish all of those hours. And today, it's not even 3 p.m. and I've played 3 hours, 20 minutes, but it does not feel as long. I think because the breaks factor in a lot to just the fatigue and the stamina required to get through all of the practicing. So knocking it all out and having the rest of the day, I mean, I have a lot of things to do that aren't practicing the rest of the day, but it's a good feeling to know that all the work that I wanted to accomplish today is done in mid-afternoon. The biggest downside is just that my body is tired. Like my right arm was getting really tired near the end, and right when the timer went off to signal the very end of the last session of practicing, I took my viola off my shoulder and I realized I'd been clenching my jaw for probably a few minutes in a row. If I'm going to try this again, and if any of you are going to try clumping all of your, clumping is a weird word, but squishing, positioning all of your practice to be in a short time frame, you need to be really mindful of your physicality and any tension that you are holding that builds up. Stopped to stretch my hands out and stretch my arms out every 15 minutes or so for a few seconds, and that was helpful. But yeah, now I have the rest of the afternoon until some other things I have to do to enjoy my Animal Crossing town. I'll give you guys a little peek of what my island looks like. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if this is interesting, if you practice like this, if you practice a totally different way. I think I do want to try doing this more often. Maybe not over 3 hours all in a row, but definitely 3 or 4 sections of 40 minutes at a time all in a row worked really well. Here's my Instagram. And the description box below has some of the other videos I've posted recently if you're interested in checking those out. But thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.